Okay. We are now going to the class. You have it on your. You can see you can see the Pirkei Avot on your page, whether it's on Facebook or it's on your Zoom. Good evening, everybody. As we start the class in Pirkei Avot, Ethics of Our Father, and we are holding right now. We are holding the chapter 1. We're holding chapter 1, and we are holding Mishneh number 10, the 10th Mishnah. Shmaya v'Avtalyan. Shmaya and Avtalyan. Kiblu mehem, Shmaya and Avtalyan received their teachings from the previous two rabbis, which was Shimon Shatach and Yehuda ben Tabai, and they became the next two leaders of the Jewish nation. And they were known to be, the Shmaya and Avtalyan were converts that became Jews, and they became great sages in the Jewish nation. These two great rabbis, Shmaya and Avtalyan, they were grandchildren of Sancherev, the one who destroyed the Beis Hamikdash, destroyed the first temple. And Shmaya and Avtalyan were his grandchildren. Some say they were even brothers, Shmaya and Avtalyan. And I believe Arizal says they were brothers. And they became converted and became great sages in the times of the Second Temple, closer to the time of Herod, when Herod was the king of the Jewish people in Israel, the one who built rebuilt the temple and rebuilt many things in Eretz Yisrael. So Shmaya and Avtalyan kiblu mehem. Shmaya and Avtalyan received their ordination, their teachings from the previous sages. And Shmaya would say, Shmaya Oima, Oivas HaMalacha, a person should love the concept of work, Usnor Sarabonis, and you should hate the concept of mastery over others. That means because in those days, the simple meaning of the Mishnah in those days, the only way you can get work or the only way you can get power was through your connections with the Romans and the civil part of Eretz Yisrael, those who ran the land. So here the sage said that no, you shouldn't look for that. You should look for the aspect of to love to work, even if it's a simple trade. And we know that there were sages and even sages of that time that had to make their living doing simple work, as in the next Mishnah too. You're going to be in the next Mishnah, in the third Mishnah from today, in the 12, Mishnah number 12, you're going to be introduced to a great sage, Hillel. And Hillel was extremely poor in his time, and he was known to be a woodcutter for many. He used to chop wood and sell wood for people's ovens. Rabbi Yochanan was known as called a Yochanan Sandler, one of great sages, was called a Sandler. He used to fix shoes, and so on and so forth. So they used to many of these great Tanoim, these great sages in the Mishnah and the Gemara, would have to would suffer. This actually Mishnah in the time of the Mishnah, they would suffer greatly, and they had to make a living extremely in very menial and hard labor. So in the simple terms, Shmaya says, don't be afraid. If you have to, doesn't take away from your greatness. If you have a simple job and you do a menial work, because you understand you need to survive. And therefore, don't worry. But the most important thing is, as he ends off the Mishnah, avoid. It's not worth it. The only way you might get all this power and this money is only by creating this intimate relationship with the Roman government. And that's not worth it. It's better to have a menial work. It's better to have less and not get involved too much with government officials. And this is the simple meaning of the Mishnah. Self-understood, there are more deeper meanings in this Mishnah. and Malacha in Chassidus, Malacha is the aspect of avodah, service, the concept of tefillah, of prayer, like the difference between Torah and avodah, and service of prayer, and oivus malacha. So that's a Mishnah. Oivus malacha. Love the work. A Jew shouldn't only want something that's given to him from above. A Jew should also want to do his own service. There's an expression in the Gemara. Adam la'amal yavalid. A person was created to work. Human beings were created to do work. That was why we're created for. And when God created the world on the sixth day of creation, everything was created. And then he created man, and he created man la'avdo l'shamra, so that man would watch it and work. What was the work that he needed to do? So he needed the first work that Adam and Eve needed to do. They needed to pray for rain. It says, it's brought down that if it wasn't for the Adam and Eve praying for rain, there wouldn't have been trees in the world. So even though God created trees, but there was seemingly there in the capability of the earth to bring out trees. It had to rain. And Adam needed to pray that God would bring rain to the world. And by that, he would bring trees to the world. So, go out and work. Do the service of prayer. Have your own agenda. Don't look for the concept of Torah. With that, you become the aspect only of the Rabbanis. You become the aspect of a leader and an educator. Love to work yourself. Love the service. To do the service of Yiddishkeit. Valtasvadal Rishus means in Chassidut, it says, in the last week's parsha, it says, Kedoshim Tiyu. You should be holy. And the sages ask, what is the meaning, you shall be holy? And one of the answers that is given is that you should be holy in that's you're allowed to Kaddish Atzmacha b'mutalach. Sanctify yourself in that is allowed, that you're allowed to do. That means in the Torah, you have a concept of a mitzvah, of a commandment, a positive thing you're supposed to do. Then you have the Avera, the sin that you're not allowed to do. And then you have the middle, no man's land. Be careful with no man's land. People think, what do I do with no man's land? Eating. There's no sin to eat. But be careful. Don't become a gluttonous. Right? If you're going to eat, that's why you eat l'shem shamayim. You eat for the sake of heaven. So the reshus, the middle ground, reshus means what's allowed. That's the meaning of the word reshus. Reshus, I give you reshus. I give you permission. God said, I give you permission to eat. God said, I give you permission to enjoy life. Be careful with these concept of enjoyment of life. It says when a neshama comes up to heaven, the first thing they ask him, do you enjoy life? Do you enjoy the world that I gave you? So God says, I want you to enjoy the world that I gave you. I created a beautiful world. I want you to enjoy it. But I want you to be careful with it. Because God forbid, your enjoyment can bring you to the opposite of good. Avtalion number 11. Avtalion said, Chachamim izaru b'divreichem. Sages, be very careful what you say. See, these sages lived in a time of very hard times. They were under the Roman rule, and they not only they struggled with the Romans, I mean the outsiders, the heathens, They struggled, an inner struggle. The Jews had a bigger inner struggle than an outer struggle in these times. Because in these times stood up a group that were called the Tzedukim. The Tzedukim, Sadducees, were established by a guy named Tzaddik. This guy named Tzaddik, that ultimately he started this group that they were called Tzedukim, that we say in English as Sadducees. And this Tzaddik actually was a student, the Gemara says, of the previous sage, the sage of Yehudim and Tabai. I'm sorry, he was a student of Yeshua ben Prachia. Tzaddik was a student of Yeshua ben Prachia. Yeshua ben Prachia said in Mishneh number 6, Yeshua ben Prachia said, no, not that one, wrong one. I'm sorry, they were students of Antignos Yisrael, number 3. And they said that Antignos Yisrael said, don't be like slaves who serve their master for the sake of reward, but be like slaves who serve the master for not for the sake of reward. So Tzaddik took the words of this sage and said, you know what? In essence, you're going against the Torah. The Torah openly says reward and punishment. So therefore, they went against the sages. Tzaddik said, we're going to take Torah. That was the Sadducees. The Sadducees ultimately came out of this guy named Tzaddik. And the Sadducees said basically that they are against Torah Shabbat Peh, the oral law. They're against the oral law. And they only take the written law. They're against the teachings of the rabbis and all the explanation of the rabbis. And it was extremely a big problem at that time. It was such a big problem that the Sadducees, not only they became leaders in the Jewish people, they became kings. There were certain Sadducees that became kings. Yanai was a famous king. Yanai was a Sadducee who simply terrorized the Prussian. They were called the Prussian. They simply terrorized the rabbis, killed them. And this king put in high priests that were Sadducees. It was extremely a big problem in the Jewish nation. So the Jews had the Romans, tzaddas with the Romans, big problem with the Romans, and they had big problems with the Sadducees, big problems, and they almost corrupted Yiddishkeit, the Sadducees, almost corrupted the whole game by taking away Torah Shabbat Peh, by taking away the oral law. They almost corrupted the whole system. If not the Mesiras Nefesh, the self-sacrifice of these sages, who simply put their life on line to fight against the Romans and the Sadducees. And so we always had in Judaism these kind of groups of people that went against the Talmud, went against not only the Goyim wanted to destroy the Talmud. We had throughout history always people who wanted Jews, an inner struggle of Jews who wanted to destroy the oral law, and basically say there's no such thing as oral law. There's a written law, we accept that, but the whole oral law is irrelevant. The rabbis, it's a made-up thing. The rabbis made up this whole thing. Yeah, people say that today. The rabbis made up this whole thing. Therefore, that's why Avtalion said, be careful. Chachamim, Avtalion, some say Avtalion was talking to Antignos. He says, you see the trouble that come out of your teachings. When your teachings came out, trouble to the Jewish nation, the Tzedukim, because they took your teachings, they twisted it. Self-understood Avtalion did not argue with the Torah, God forbid, that this constant reward or punishment. Avtalion has said that a Jew should go, a Jew should live his life above the letter of law. And he should serve God not because of reward or punishment, because he wants to serve God himself. But they took it and they said, no, Avtalion was against reward and punishment. Therefore, the sages, you cannot learn with the sages. and you cannot appreciate the teachings of the sages. And therefore, this sage said, now you'll understand clearly what this sage said. The Avtalion said, scholars, be careful with your words, for you may be exiled in places inhabited by evil elements who will distort your words to suit their negative purposes. These are the Jews who will take your words and will ultimately bring about negative things. The disciples who come after you will then drink these evil waters and be destroyed. And that's what's going to happen. They want to destroy Judaism. The sage said, these Sadducees want to basically destroy Yiddishkeit. And if you're not going to be careful exactly what you say, that they shouldn't twist your words. That's what's going to happen. And what's going to happen? Nimtza Shem Shamayim Eschalad. Then the name of the heaven will be desecrated. And you're going to bring about a desecration of God's name. So be very careful. Be very extremely careful what you say or how you say it, so that you should never, ever, your word should never be able to use doubt in a negative way. We're holding number 12. Mishneh 12 in the first chapter. Hillel v'shamei kimlehem. Then we come to one of the greatest sages in Jewish history, one of the greatest Tanoim, Hillel. Hillel and Shammai. Hillel and Shammai. Everybody knows the story of the convert who came to learn from Shammai. He came to Shammai, to the academy of Shammai, and he went up to Shammai, and Shammai said, "What can I do for you?" And he said, "Let me learn the entire Torah on one leg." And the Gemara says Shammai took a rod and chased him out of the synagogue, out of the house of study. He then went to Hillel Academy, and Hillel asked Hillel the same question, got an audience with Hillel, and asked Hillel the same question, can you teach the entire Torah on one leg, on one foot? And he said, Madalach sani lechav lesav. Don't, what you don't like, don't do unto others. Very famous statement of Hillel. And he said, Madalach sani, what you hate, don't do unto others. And the rest is commentary. Hillel was known as a lover of humanity, and that's, you'll see why he says this statement. Hillel was known as extremely humble. You should know Hillel he had the qualities of both Moses and Aaron. He had a quality of Aaron, who had love of people, as you're going to see in the Mishneh says, and he had within him the quality of Moses, because he was the leader of the Jewish nation for 40 years, actually, exact amount of time that Moshe Rabbeinu was also a leader for 40 years of the Jewish people. And he was exactly like Moshe Rabbeinu, who lived 120 years. Hillel and Moshe Rabbeinu both lived 120 years. And Hillel was known as the most humblest person that ever lived. He was extremely a humble individual. The Gemara says a beautiful story of Hillel. That once these two guys had a wager if they can antagonize Hillel. And one guy said, "I'll give you 400 zuzim. I'll give you 400 zuzim, $400 or whatever. There's much more than $400 if you can go and get Hillel angry." And the Gemara says the guy went on Friday afternoon while he knew Hillel was taking his bath. He knocked on the door, and Hillel got out of the bath, and he came down. He said, "My child, what can I do for you?" And he asked him a silly question, and Hillel answered him. And he did it again. He came back again, and he came back again. And every time he asked him another silly question, and every time Hillel answered him, "Patience, my child." And he went back to do his bath. Ultimately, the young man said, "You know, Hillel, I don't like you." Hillel said, "Why? Why don't you like me? What did I do wrong?" What do you mean what you did wrong? You made me lose 400 zuz. You made me lose $400. I lost the wager. I couldn't get you angry. I tried, and I tried. And Hillel answered him, you should lose the wager and Hillel shouldn't get angry. Hillel was extremely a humble individual, a caring individual. But also Hillel was a lover of learning. He made an meager life. He used to, the Gemara says, he used to sell his wood for 2 zuz. He would give his wife 1 zuz for the needs of the house, and he would go to the house to study and give the watchman who would allow you in with the other zuz. And one time he came and to the house of learning of Shmai and Naftalian. He came to their house of study and didn't have the zuz. And they didn't let him in. And he went to the top of the roof and he laid on the skylight to listen to the words of the sages. And he fell asleep, and the snow came on the roof, snowed that night, and he fell asleep. And when the sages came to synagogue in the morning, they realized it was dark, the skylight. When they looked up, they realized there was a person laying there in the snow, frozen. And they brought him down, the Gemara says, and they revived him, self-understood. From then on, they made a decree that nobody would have to pay to come to study, to come and learn, to hear the words of the sages. The love of Hillel to learning. So Hillel had both qualities, as I said before, Moshe and Aaron. He had both qualities of Moses and Aaron, who was a lover of people and a lover of law, of the Torah. So this is what Hillel said. Hillel Leiman, Heve mitalmidei shel Aaron. Be like the students of Aaron. What is to be a student of Aaron? Oyev shalom. Be a lover of peace. Not just do peace. Love peace. Should be more, when a person loves something, he doesn't only do peace. Okay, I got to do peace. I have to have peace. No, I want to do peace. I want to have peace. I'm going to find, if I love peace, I will find any way, an avenue I can bring peace in this situation. That's true aspect of love. If I don't love the aspect of peace, then I'll do it what I need. And when I don't, I won't do it if I don't need it. If I'm a lover of peace, I will accomplish peace. And therefore, I will run after peace. A lover of peace runs after peace. That's a statement of Hillel. Be a lover of peace and run after peace. Oyev esabrius, love creation, love humans. The Rebbe says over here that he uses the word brios when it comes to humans. It doesn't say Adam, oyev Adam, love man, love humanity. He says brios means creation, meaning Hillel said that even if the person has no value, but he's a creation of God. There's no value. He's not a good person. His only value is he's a bria. For whatever reason, God created him. Hillel says, love him anyway. And bring them, draw them close to Torah. Fascinating concept, Hillel. That's why Hillel said, don't do unto others that you don't want others to do unto you. Love you love yourself. If you love yourself, you should love yourself. That's why the verse last 2 weeks ago said, last week, love thy neighbor like you love yourself. Everybody loves themselves. Gemara says, Adam oyev esatzvei, every person loves himself. And you should love yourself. You cannot love somebody else if you don't love yourself. most of us don't love another person because they feel lack in themselves. And because they feel lack in themselves, they have to find the lack in somebody else to feel better to themselves. If a person felt good about himself, he would be able to have space for everybody else. He doesn't have space for somebody else because he doesn't have space for himself. And therefore, Hillel says, run after peace. Realize it's interesting that the word peace, shalom, the word peace has the same letters as the word shlemus, complete. Oyev shalom, run after peace because it brings us shlemus. If we have peace with one another, we brings unity between one another. Having peace between the Jewish people brings us stronger than if we'd be separate. So therefore the Mishneh says, Oyev shalom, shalom, peace, brings a person, makes him shleimus, makes him stronger, makes him more complete. Why would I come as a separate entity when I'm not complete without somebody else? So therefore I am surely going to run after peace. If I realize that peace, shalom, brings shleimus, brings completion, makes me wholer. That means that without the peace, with the disagreement and the fight, it not only makes you weaker, it makes me weaker. It makes me smaller. This disagreement, this fight makes me smaller. It doesn't make me bigger, it makes me smaller. So therefore, I have to love the aspect of peace. But never do it. Makavel Torah, never do it by diminishing the Torah. Most of us think we're going to diminish the Torah for the sake of peace. No, you got to figure out a way, because the Torah is the ways of the Torah is pleasant, and its avenues are peaceful. Torah wanted peace. There's nothing greater. The Torah tells us there's nothing greater than Masakash Baruch Kli. God can't find a better vessel than the vessel of peace. Right? We say, please bless us, our Father, because we are all one. We are all as one. When the children of Jacob came to Jacob to be blessed, they said, "Hear, O Israel," that's the verse. "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one." We are all here as one. And we believe in one God. We are one nation that has one God. And that's when the Yaakov Avinu said, Baruch Shem Kvei Baruch Hu, blessed be the name of God forever and ever. Because when he saw his children, whose children were different, as we all know. We know the struggles with the 12 tribes. And when the children, all the 12 tribes were there, and they all said to their father, "We are one." There's another better happiness and joy to a parent when his children are all one. When his children have the concept of peace between each other. And peace does not mean that we have to be like one another. We have to respect one another. We have to give each other the space. We have to not diminish the other one to be able to bring the aspect of peace in the world. Hillel, in the next Mishneh, Mishneh number 3, comes and teaches us the next step in the Mishneh number 13. And Hillel, the Gemara says Hillel, as Hillel was a great tzaddik, also had the aspect of his challenges. And one day he had a challenge and he fell through in his challenge. It was the first day that he became the leader of the Jewish nation. First day that he became the leader of the Jewish nation in Yerushalayim, he came to the Beis Hamikdash. It's a whole story in the Talmud. And he came to the Beis Hamikdash, it was Pesach time, And the rabbis were arguing about a Jewish law, the concept of Jewish law. And the rabbis of his time didn't know the answer. And Hillel rebuked them for not knowing the law. He had a moment, a slipping moment, the Gemara says. And that moment, he forgot the law. Because of his moment of, so to say, of arrogance of Hillel. The Gemara says a moment of slip where he rebuked, and right away he changed. He realized it and said, that's the greatness of a tzaddik. Realized that he shouldn't have rebuked them. But that moment, as Moshe Rabbeinu also we learned, rebuked his brother. In that moment, he says, I made a mistake. So that's what Hillel says in the next Mishnah, Mishnah number 13. He also would say, one who advances his name, destroys his name. If one gets angry, if he was a sage, he would never get angry. He would only get angry for the sake of God. One gets angry because of his own expression, he's going to destroy his name. And Hillel says, because I got angry, I forgot the law. Here I was rebuking them, and the truth is I forgot the law myself, like they forgot the law. So I was rebuking myself. The Gatshma, one who advances his name, Avot Shema, he loses his name. With the Loi Moisif, Yosef, one who does not increase, diminishes. As the Rebbe would always say, you're either going up or you're going down. There's no concept of staying status quo in Yiddishkeit. Mailim b'kodesh. A person always has to go higher. He has to be happy with the situation. He has to be satisfied. He has to be satisfied even with the situation, in any situation he's in. But at the same time, he has to work on going better. Working on going better doesn't take away from the situation that I'm in. I'm not in denial. I'm not in the world of a denial that I'm saying that I'm not in this situation. No, I know the situation I'm in, but I always can work on becoming better. A person should never put himself down and say, this is a situation, I'm a loser, or this is a losing situation, whether it's, I'm going to put myself down because of the situation, or I'm going to put myself down because of myself. No. Whatever the situation, expression in the Talmud, even if a sword is upon your neck, you shouldn't give up hope. So even in reality, the sword is upon my neck. As a Jew, I have to hope for the positive expression, the positive outcome. I have to continue to hope for better. And that's the Yosef, Yosef. If I don't hope for the better, I don't live in a vacuum. If I leave the thing empty, what happens is something else is going to come into it. I have to continuously have a concept of the desire and the hope that I can be Mosif, I can do better, I can become better. With the Loyalaf, and one who does not learn, he says, forget it. I'm throwing in the towel. I'm not going to even go out and study. K'tol Chayiv deserves death. Doesn't mean physical death. It means spiritual death. A person that doesn't learn doesn't want to expand his knowledge. My father-in-law, blessed memory, would say, everybody dies, but not everybody lives. And that's really important, the concept that not everybody lives. We have to learn to live. We have to learn the meaning of life. What it means to live. Not only worry about death. I shouldn't worry about that because that's out of my hand. It's out of my control. What's in my control is how to live. How am I going to live? And I need to learn how to live. A person needs to learn how to live in any kind of situation he's in. That's one of the reasons why God says to the Jewish people when they're stuck in between a hard place and they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, God says to the Jewish people, Vayiso, keep on going. Learn to keep on going. Learn to continue to travel, to continue to do good. That's what you got to do. Adapt. Very good. Learn to adapt. Correct. What did they say? The joke? They would say a joke that one time the world was told by the scientists that they're going to be totally the whole world is going underwater. Imagine it was a joke. Now it's not even a joke anymore. The whole world is going to be going underwater. So they went to the Pope. The Pope called all the Christians together and he said, "Listen, we better start praying because you have 2 weeks to pray. Got 2 weeks to pray because in 2 weeks we're all going to die." And then they called the head imam, whatever, and he called all the Muslims together and he said, "Listen, you got 2 weeks. You better repent. We're all going to heaven. That's it. We're all going to die." They went. The story was that they went to Lubavitcher Rebbe, and they told him he got all Jews after Mincha one day. He turned around and said, "Yidden, my dear Jews, we have 2 weeks to learn how to live underwater. You got 2 weeks to learn how to live underwater. Let's get to work. Let's get to learn how to live underwater." That is the Jewish way. Not to give in, but how to live. We continue to live. That's one of the beautiful expressions of last week's Parasha V'chai B'hem. To continue to live in any situation, in any kind of ups and downs. La Yalef, if you don't learn how to live, you don't learn how to take the situation and you know, what did they figure out? So what did they figure out? That thank God that God never will destroy the world. So they didn't have to learn how to swim. So that's the situation. You have to learn how to deal with every situation. Look at that. Who would ever imagine that all this technology would come so in hand? Religious Jews were against all this technology. The Rebbe was never against technology. He always said, you have to learn how to use technology. Look how technology came into so much good in the last 5-6 weeks. What would we do without Facebook and without Zoom and all these things? How would we learn together? How would we study together if we wouldn't have all this technology? We'd go crazy. Baruch Hashem, how much learning is going on Zoom and on Facebook Live? How much learning, how much studying is going on because all of this technology. So we have to learn, right? We can shut down and say, okay, this is a terrible thing. I've been sitting there in the house and let's all cry and become depressed. And that's not the answer. The answer is let's get together and learn together on Zoom. That's what we're doing. We're studying together on Zoom and on Facebook Live. And Yiddishkeit goes on, Baruch Hashem. And Torah mitzvah going on. So that's the learning from experience. You know, it says, a chacham kabal nasayim. True guy who has wisdom is someone who's gone through situations. The more situations you go through and you overcome it, you become. That's what it says. Shalavicha v'ageitcha zikainecha v'yayimro. Ask your father; he'll tell you, and your elders, your babbas and zaydas, and they will tell you how they overcame situations. Can't our babbas and zaydas, those who are still alive, can they tell us how they overcame situations? How they got through in life situations, and Baruch Hashem, they survived, They thrived. They built. We're going to get through this also. So we'll learn. We're going to continue to learn. Hopefully we'll learn from this experience. And that's why he says, if you don't get, we're not going to learn. We're not going to learn from this. You're dead. If you just take this whole 6, 8, whatever weeks it's going to take, whether it's 2 months, 3 months, and you're not going to learn from this, then you're dead. Then you've just wasted 12 weeks. So therefore the Mishnah says, I hope that no, you are going to learn from it. You're going to learn from it. And it's going to change the way you think in life. And it's going to change the way you're going to do things. I actually was the Jew, I would call the Jew today. A Jew has been trying to get to come to shul for many, many years. Always rebuffed me. And I just called him up to say, how are you? And he says to me, Rabbi, dying to come to shul. The second you open, call me up. I'm there. I'm going to be the first there. That's beautiful. Baruch Hashem. I hope it created a desire to see the beauty and the purpose of going to shul. We can sit and learn, we can daven, we have Zoom davenings, we have Zoom learnings. No comparison. Then coming and sitting in a shul and learning together. There's no comparison. No comparison. So hopefully this will teach us, that this will teach us that we're gonna have a great desire to come and learn together physically. You have a great desire to come and learn. So there's a learning experience. If not, chas v'shalom, be a waste of time. This is a learning experience. We have to learn. It's one of the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov. Baal Shem Tov said a Yid has to learn from everything that he sees and hears. He's got to learn from it. It has to be a teaching experience. And then you're alive. Then you're a human being. With a shtama, and one who makes personal use of the crown of the Torah shall perish. This is really talking to a sage, because he calls over here that uses the crown. Just like he warned the sages that they shouldn't, God forbid, become arrogance because of the knowledge that they have. Never use the Torah for your own glory. Torah was not given to you that anybody should become glorified over somebody else because he has the knowledge and comprehensions of the Torah. Now we come to Hillel's Mishneh number 14, one of Hillel's famous statements. Hillel said, Hu hayom in ein anili mili. If I am not for myself, mili, who is for me? If I'm not for myself, who is for me? Ukeshani la'atzmi, and if I am only for myself, ma'ani, what am I? V'im le'achshav, and if not now, if I'm not going to do it now, must I when? This is one of the most famous statements of Hillel. In the aspect, the songs even of this statement of Hillel, this Mishnah, there's even songs that we sing. In many different kinds of ways we sing this song. But there's many interpretations, self-understood, my friends, to this Mishnah. What we spoke about a little bit before. Mili sounds like an arrogant statement. It's not for myself. Mili, who am I? That means it sounds like arrogance. It's all about myself, the opposite of who Hillel was. So what is the meaning? So the meaning is in ein ani li. If I'm not here for my true self, what am I here for? Why? What is the purpose of why I'm here? The true purpose of why I'm here is for my neshama. And that true essence cannot be done by anybody else. That cannot be done by somebody else. Nobody in the world can do what I am supposed to do. And that's the deeper meaning of Im Ein Ani Li, if I'm not for myself, for who I'm supposed to be. If you think, if I think that I came to the world for what? What did I come to this world for? What was the purpose of me coming to the world? What was the true agenda that God sent me, Zalman Bukiet, to the world for? That nobody else could have done. Nobody else in the world can accomplish why I came to the world. So Im Ein Ani Li, Mili, who is going to do it? Nobody can do it. Nobody can do my purpose in the world. And I cannot do your purpose in the world. So that's the first statement. In Ein Ani Li, if I'm not for my true self, me Li, who knows what my purpose is? Who can do my purpose? But if I know my true purpose on the world, my true essence, the purpose of my soul, then Keshani La'atzmi, if I do something selfish, that's not me. So I can have a positive and I can have a negative. If I don't know my purpose, nobody can do it. And if I'm selfish, then what am I? Then what have I done? I've not lived my true essence. I cannot be a selfish. It cannot be an aspect of true essence to be a selfish concept in life. Of course, my essence is godly, which is selfless. So therefore, I can look at it in the positive and I can look at it in the negative, Hillel says. To look in the positive is to look truly in oneself, to try to find out what is my true purpose in life. What did God send me here to? What did God bring down this soul into the world? And if I'm looking in a selfish way, Kashani La'atzmi, I'm going to look at it in a selfish way. I'm going to do something selfish. I'm not going to think about somebody else. I'm going to be I'm going to be my whole life, or the action that I do is going to be, of course, a selfish concept. Then what am I? Then who am I? That's what the purpose came down to. I should live a selfish life. And then I think that my purpose can go on, and I don't I don't have to accomplish my purpose right now. So how do I know when? How do I know when I'm supposed to accomplish that purpose in life? Maybe when I want to accomplish that purpose, I won't be able to accomplish the purpose. You have different expressions in the Talmud. Mitzvah boliyotcha, al tachmitzana. Something good comes to your hand. Do it. You don't know. Maybe that's your purpose. The very famous Gemara says Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, before he died, he cried. They asked him, why are you crying? You're a great sage. He was also 120 years old. And he said, I cry because any idea, the expression, I'll say the Gemara expression, I'm not sure exactly in which way they're leading me. And in essence, he said, I might be going to Gehenna, God forbid. And they said to him, is that possible? You're a great righteous person. Is it possible you're going to be going but to Gan Eden? You're the most righteous person in our times. And it doesn't answer them. And the Rebbe says that even Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai, who was a great sage, who did everything for others, but he said, who says when I come to heaven, after 120 years, which he was 120 years old, they're going to tell me you didn't do your purpose. You did everything for others, but you didn't do anything for yourself. How do we know what is my purpose? And therefore, my friends, it's something that we all need to work on, is to find out what is the purpose that God sent me to the world. What am I supposed to do in this world? And that is, as a regular person, talk to myself, I have to try to do everything. I got to be a multi-purpose individual. Try to do every good deed I can get my hand on. Every good deed in thought, speech, and action to the best of my capability. And if I can accomplish that, maybe I can accomplish my purpose. The Baal Shem Tov says that a neshama can come down to the world for 70, 80 years just to do one good deed, to do a favor or another. I'm just thinking to myself, whenever somebody comes and asks me to do a favor and I say no, I'm thinking, oh, maybe that was a favor. How do I know? Maybe that was the favor the Baal Shem Tov spoke about. That was the favor. That was the purpose of my neshama, that it came down to the world. When something comes to me, or to any one of us, something comes to us, we should right away think about this Mishneh. We should right away respond. Inein ani li mili. Somebody asked me something. Inein ani li mili. Either I should say, if I'm not going to do it, who's going to do it? Oh, but I'm too tired now. I'm selfish. Money. Oh, but I'll do it tomorrow. Maybe the purpose needs to be accomplished right now. Maybe the purpose needs to be accomplished right now. Because you're not going to be here in 10 minutes. You're not going to be here tomorrow. And then I've lost true purpose of why I came to this world for. It's a very famous expression, the Torah. Avram Avinu Baba Yamim. Avram Avinu came with his days. The sages said, what is the meaning of the verse that Abraham came with his days? Every day was important to him. Sometimes hard, especially today, these months, to realize the importance of every day. It's almost like one long day, just drudging through the weeks, not realizing that every single day is important. And every single day has a purpose. Because God brought my neshama down to the world today. So what did God want my neshama to come down to the world today? Many of us have to ask. Most of us would say, I don't got the time to think about these things. But thank God, God gave us all the time to think about it now. We're not busy with anything else. We got to think about these things. We should think about it and say to them, what did the Eibishter? I'm coming down to work. I'm not working. I'm at home. So what did God want me to come down here? I should fix things in the house, fix the windows and fix the locks and paint the room up. What did the Eibishter want? This is what God wanted me to come down to the world for, to do these tasks. These tasks can be done by somebody else. Hire somebody because he can do a better job than you. He can do a better paid job than you. He can fix the lock better than you. So hire that person. Don't take away that person's parnasa. Hire him. Your job might be a much more greater job. The example was given by the diamond guy. The guy who knows how to cut diamonds, says, you know what? I'm going to become a baker. We need bakers. I'm going to become a baker. Well, it's a wonderful job to be a baker. What would be so terrible about being a baker? No, but you can cut diamonds. And for you as a diamond cutter that can cut diamonds, to become a baker, to you, that's a sin. Let somebody else do the baking. You continue to cutting and shining these diamonds. What is the purpose? So we have to look in. As Jews, we know, and as we learn Chassidut, we learn Kabbalah, we learn Tanya, we know we have a godly purpose. We came down to the world to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to reveal our souls, to shine our souls that are diamonds. And God is in essence maybe telling us now, that's what the real purpose in why I brought you down to the world. That's Hillel. That's why this statement, most of us know this statement. In Ein Anili Mili, if not for me, who's going to do it? Because Shanila asked me if I'm going to be selfish, money, what am I? What's going to be? And if not now, when? What a beautiful statement of Hillel. And with that, I see you saying something over here. I can't find you, but where's the statement? Oh, here you are. Yes, don't worry. If people want diamonds anymore, then it should I become a baker. If people, diamonds are a woman's best friend, so people are always going to want diamonds. And it's only an analogy, Paul. It's only an analogy. We need the furrier. Should a furrier become a baker? If he can be a furrier. Abishta gave us talents. Use out your talent to the best of your ability. My friend, we'll finish Hillel. Next we'll go to Shammai. Have a wonderful evening. Have a great to learn with you. Have a wonderful evening. Have a great night. Have a great week. And we'll get together again next week. God bless you all. Great to learn with you as always. And